let's get to it. Number 10. The Pyramids of Caral, Peru. Imagine the world 5,000 years ago. While Egyptian society was famously erecting its first monumental tombs along the Nile, a completely separate civilization was doing the exact same thing in a barren desert half a world away. On a desolate terrace overlooking a river valley in modern-day Peru, thousands of people were gathering to build their own sacred mountains. They did this without pottery, without writing, and without any contact with the rest of the developing world. They were America's first civilization, and they were building pyramids. Welcome to Caral, the heart of the Norte Chico civilization and the oldest known city in the Americas. Flourishing between 3000 and 1800 BCE, Caral is a masterpiece of urban planning, dominated by 6 large platform mounds, often called step pyramids. The largest, Piramide Mayor, stands 60 feet tall with the base that covers an area nearly the size of 4 football fields. These structures weren't built with cut stone blocks, but with a clever, earthquake-resistant technology known as shikras, woven reed bags filled with loose stones. These were then stacked to form the core of the mounds before being faced with retaining walls and plaster. The purpose of these structures was entirely different from their Egyptian counterparts. They were not tombs for god-kings, but public ceremonial centers, with plazas, circular courts, and grand staircases for religious and social gatherings. Caral proves that monumental architecture isn't exclusive to imperial dynasties obsessed with the afterlife, but it leaves us with a profound mystery. How does a complex, city-building society emerge in such isolation, constructing pyramids before they even have ceramics to cook with? It suggests the drive to build something permanent and sacred is more fundamental to humanity than we thought. Number 9. The Bosnian Pyramids, in Bosnia-Herzegovina. In 2005, a Bosnian-American businessman named Semir Osmanagic was visiting the town of Visoko when he noticed something odd about the surrounding hills. They were perfect, four-sided with clear edges and cardinal alignment. He proposed a theory so audacious it bordered on fantasy. These weren't hills at all. They were colossal, man-made pyramids, thousands of years older than Giza, and shrouded by millennia of soil and vegetation. A lost civilization, more advanced than we could imagine, had left behind the largest pyramidal complex on Earth. Osmanagic named the largest hill the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. He claims it stands over 220 meters tall, dwarfing the Great Pyramid of Giza. His foundation began excavations, reporting findings of manufactured concrete blocks with superior qualities to modern concrete, and an intricate network of prehistoric tunnels beneath the complex. Carbon dating of organic fossils found within these tunnels allegedly yielded dates of 30,000 years or more, suggesting a civilization existed during the last ice age. Proponents point to satellite imagery and thermal analysis they claim shows the hills have unnatural geometric properties and dissipate heat faster than the surrounding landscape. The twist? The overwhelming global consensus of archaeologists and geologists is that the Bosnian pyramids are a cruel hoax. Scientists have identified the formations as entirely natural hills known as flatirons, common geological features worldwide. The ancient concrete is a naturally occurring conglomerate, and the tunnels are likely remnants of medieval mining operations. Still, over 400,000 people have visited, drawn by the allure of a history that could be. This raises a fascinating question. Which is more powerful, the evidence we can prove or the story we want to believe? Number 8. The Pyramids of Xi'an, China. In 1912, 2 Australian traders were traveling through the plains of central China when they encountered a sight that defied belief. Dotting the landscape were dozens of enormous four-sided structures, each one a perfect man-made mountain. Local tradition held that they were the tombs of ancient emperors who believed they would become gods in the afterlife. The traders were mesmerized, but the world outside China would remain largely oblivious for decades, dismissing the accounts as tall tales. These are the pyramids of Xi'an, a collection of over 38 burial mounds or tumuli scattered across the plains. Unlike the stone pyramids of Egypt, these were constructed from packed earth and soil shaped into truncated pyramids with flat tops. The most famous is the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, who died in 210 BCE. Ancient texts describe his tomb as a subterranean palace with a map of his empire, rivers of flowing mercury, and a ceiling studded with pearls to mimic the night sky. The mound itself is massive, originally standing nearly 250 feet tall, with a base larger than Giza's. While his tomb remains unexcavated, the nearby discovery of the 8,000-strong terracotta army gives a hint of the treasures it must contain. The Chinese government has chosen not to excavate the main tomb of Qin Shi Huang, citing respect for the dead and concerns that current technology cannot adequately preserve its contents. It's a tomb protected by both ancient legends of booby traps and modern scientific reverence. The secret of the first emperor remains perfectly preserved for now. This leaves us wondering, what incredible knowledge and artistry lie just beneath the surface? And are some historical mysteries better left unsolved? Number 7. Candi Suku, Indonesia. High on the misty slopes of Mount Lawi, a sacred volcano in central Java, sits a temple that doesn't belong. Built in the 15th century during the final days of the Majapahit kingdom, it looks nothing like the elegant Hindu-Buddhist structures found elsewhere in Java. Its main monument is a strange truncated pyramid with a steep staircase, looking more like a lost Mayan ruin than a Javanese temple. Surrounding it are bizarre, explicit carvings that have earned it the nickname the erotic temple. This place is an anomaly. Candi Suku is a puzzle. Its primary structure is a 28-foot-tall stone pyramid, which visitors ascend via a narrow staircase. The architecture abandons the typical, complex designs of earlier Javanese temples for something more primal and indigenous. The carvings are what truly set it apart. They depict themes of life, fertility, and sexuality with a raw, almost cartoonish style that has no parallel in the region's art. There are statues of mythical creatures, reliefs that seem to show sex education lessons, and a prominent male figure grasping his own genitals. Historians believe the temple was a center for a fertility cult and tantric rituals meant to harness spiritual power. The prevailing theory is that Candi Suku represents a revival of pre-Hindu animistic beliefs as the Majapahit kingdom began to crumble and its state-sponsored religion weakened. It was a return to ancient local traditions in a time of political uncertainty. This wasn't a mistake or for an import. It was a deliberate choice. It makes you wonder, when great empires fall, do people reach forward into the unknown, or do they retreat to the comfort of older, deeper magic? Number 6. The Pyramid of Sestigius in Rome, Italy. Imagine you're a traveler on the Via Ostiensis in the year 10 BCE, approaching the mighty city of Rome. You'd expect to see aqueducts, temples, and villas. What you wouldn't expect to see is a sharp, impossibly steep pyramid piercing the skyline. It's a slice of the Nile planted firmly in the heart of Italy, looking both completely alien and perfectly at home. This isn't a mirage brought on by the Italian sun. It's a tomb built for a Roman who desperately wanted to make a point. This is the Pyramid of Sestigius, a tomb for a wealthy Roman magistrate named Gaius Sestigius, built between 18 and 12 BCE. After Rome's conquest of Egypt in 30 BCE, a full-blown Egyptomania swept the empire, making obelisks, sphinxes, and pyramids the ultimate status symbols. Sestigius's pyramid is a stunning example of this trend.
It's built from brick-faced concrete and clad in brilliant white marble, standing 120 Roman feet high. Interestingly, its angle is much sharper than the Egyptian pyramids, likely inspired by the steeper pyramids of the Nubian kingdom, which Rome had recently fought. The tomb was later incorporated into the Aurelian walls in the 3rd century CE, which helped ensure its remarkable preservation. This pyramid isn't a profound architectural mystery. It's a spectacular piece of funerary fashion. Cystigus was a man of his time, following a trend that expressed wealth, worldliness, and a connection to the empire's newest, most exotic province. It stands as a monument not to a forgotten religion or a powerful king, but to the incredible power of cultural appropriation. But it poses a subtle question. When a civilization becomes so powerful that it adopts the tombs of its conquered enemies as decoration, is that a sign of its ultimate strength or the beginning of its decline? Number 5. Prang Temple at Ko Kher, Cambodia. Deep in the remote jungles of northern Cambodia lies a ghost city. For a brief, brilliant period in the 10th century, this was the capital of the mighty Khmer Empire. Its king, Jayavarman IV, abandoned the famed city of Angkor and moved his court here to a place called Chokgar Gyar, or the Island of Glory. To legitimize his rule and honor the god Shiva, he embarked on an audacious building program, culminating in a structure unlike any other in the empire, a towering 7-tiered pyramid. The centerpiece of Ko Kher is Prasat Tam, a temple complex whose main sanctuary, known as Prang, is a 118-foot-high sandstone step pyramid. This structure broke radically from the concentric temple mountain style typical of Angkor. Instead, it rises in 7 steep tiers, symbolizing the mythical Mount Meru, the home of the Hindu gods. Inscriptions reveal that King Jayavarman IV, who many historians believe was a usurper, moved the capital here in 928 CE. He poured immense resources into building dozens of temples and a massive water reservoir, transforming this remote area into a spectacular royal city. The pyramid was his state temple, designed to house a colossal lingam, a symbol of Shiva's power. Here's the twist. After only about 20 years, immediately following Jayavarman IV's death, the capital was moved back to Angkor, and Ko Kher was abandoned to the jungle for over 1,000 years. The reason remains a mystery. Perhaps the site was too remote, or perhaps Jayavarman IV's successor wanted to distance himself from the usurper king. It's an incredible story of ambition and sudden collapse. And it begs the question, what is more permanent? A mountain of stone built to last forever, or the fleeting political will of a single human being? Number 4. The Ziggurat of Iraq. In the sun-scourged plains of ancient Mesopotamia, now modern Iraq, the people had a different relationship with their gods. They didn't see them as distant, ethereal beings, but as powerful landlords who physically dwelled among them, often in houses built atop man-made mountains. These weren't tombs pointing to the heavens, they were stairways, designed for the gods to descend to earth and for priests to ascend to meet them. They were called ziggurats. The Great Ziggurat of is the most iconic example of this architectural tradition. Originally built in the 21st century BCE by King Ur-Nammu, it was dedicated to Nanna, the moon god and patron deity of the city. The structure is a massive step pyramid with 3 main terraces rising to an estimated height of over 100 feet. Its core is made of sun-dried mud bricks, a common material in the region, while the exterior is protected by a layer of waterproofed baked bricks set in bitumen. 3 monumental staircases converge at a gateway on the first terrace, from which another flight of stairs likely led to a temple or shrine at the summit, the divine residence of the god Nanna. Unlike Egyptian pyramids, the ziggurat was not a tomb. Its interior is solid brick. Its function was purely religious, a physical link between the human and divine realms. It was a tangible expression of a worldview where the gods were an active, present force in daily life. This fundamental difference in purpose reveals a deep truth.
Some cultures build mountains of stone to protect their dead kings for eternity, while others build them just to get a little closer to their living gods. Which impulse, fear or faith, drives humanity to build bigger? Number 3. The Pyramid of the Sun, Teotihuacan, Mexico. Imagine a city so magnificent and ancient that even the Aztecs who discovered its ruins in the 1400s believed it could not have been built by mortals. They named it Teotihuacan, the place where the gods were created, convinced it was the birthplace of the universe itself. Dominating this ghost metropolis was a colossal pyramid, perfectly aligned with the stars. The Aztecs called it the Pyramid of the Sun, but its true name and the identity of its builders remain one of the greatest mysteries in history. Constructed around 200 CE, the Pyramid of the Sun is one of the largest structures ever built in the ancient Americas. It rises 216 feet and has a base measuring approximately 738 feet on each side, containing over 1 million cubic yards of material. The pyramid is built not of stone blocks, but of a compacted earth and rubble core faced with stone and once covered in brightly painted plaster. In the 1970s, archaeologists discovered a natural lava tube cave running more than 300 feet beneath the pyramid, ending in a clover-leaf-shaped chamber. This sacred cave was clearly the reason the pyramid was built in this exact spot, likely serving as a shrine for creation myths long before the pyramid itself was constructed. The city of Teotihuacan thrived for centuries, influencing all of Mesoamerica, but around 550 CE, it was systematically burned and abandoned. We don't know who its people were, what language they spoke, or why they vanished. The Aztecs who came later simply projected their own cosmic myths onto the empty ruins. This makes the pyramid a monument to a profound historical silence. Who builds a city of the gods only to disappear from the pages of history without leaving their name? Number 2. The Great Pyramid of Cholula, Mexico. In the small town of Cholula, Mexico, stands a beautiful colonial-era church, the Iglesia de Nuestra Señora de los Remedios. It sits atop a large, grassy hill, offering panoramic views of the surrounding valley and the Popocatépetl volcano. But this is no ordinary hill. It is Tlachihualtepetl, the man-made mountain. For centuries, Spanish conquistadors and locals alike believed it to be a natural feature, unaware that hidden beneath the earth, grass, and church was the single largest pyramid on the entire planet. The Great Pyramid of Cholula is a monster of engineering, and its vital statistic is not height, but volume. At an estimated 4.45 million cubic meters, it is nearly double the volume of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Its base covers a staggering 45 acres. This behemoth wasn't built in a single campaign, but is actually a series of pyramids built one on top of the other by successive cultures over a 1,000-year period starting around 300 BCE. By the time Hernán Cortés and his men arrived in 1519, the pyramid had been abandoned for centuries and was completely overgrown, perfectly camouflaged as a hill. The ultimate twist is one of historical irony. The Spanish, in their zeal to supplant indigenous religion, built a Catholic church on what they thought was a pagan temple's hill. By doing so, they inadvertently consecrated the site and guaranteed the preservation of the massive pyramid hidden beneath. The symbol of conquest became the monument's ultimate protector. It forces us to ask, is the greatest monument the one that towers over the landscape for all to see, or the one so vast it can hide in plain sight? Number 1. The Nubian Pyramids of Meroë, Sudan. Close your eyes and picture a pyramid. You're seeing a massive, sand-colored giant on the Giza plateau. Now, imagine a different desert. The sand is redder, the sky is vaster, and the river flowing nearby is still the Nile, but hundreds of miles south. And in this desert, there aren't 3 pyramids. There are over 200. You've just imagined a place in modern-day Sudan, the heartland of an ancient African power, a kingdom that has more pyramids than all of Egypt combined. Welcome to Meroë, the capital of the Kingdom of Kush. From roughly 300 BCE to 300 CE, this powerful civilization buried its royalty in pyramids that are strikingly different from their Egyptian counterparts. The Nubian pyramids are much smaller, ranging from 20 to 100 feet in height. They are also dramatically steeper and narrower, rising at sharp angles of around 70 degrees. Built from sandstone blocks, they served as tombs for the kings and queens of Kush, who saw themselves as the true inheritors of pharaonic tradition. In fact, for a time, Kushite kings conquered and ruled Egypt as the 25th dynasty. The pyramids of Meroë are not a copy of the Egyptian style, they are an evolution. The Kushite pharaohs saw themselves as restoring and purifying Egyptian culture, which they believed had become decadent. They took the idea of the pyramid and remade it in their own image, slender, elegant, and numerous. It's a powerful statement that influence is not a one-way street. But it leaves us with one final thought. We remember Egypt's pyramids as the original, the ultimate symbol of ancient power. Is history written by the greatest innovator or simply by the one with the best marketing?
Let's be honest. 99% of people will hear the word pyramid and their brain will immediately flash to a picture of Giza. End of story. But the fact that you're still here, that you watched this far, proves your brain is wired differently. You don't just accept the textbook answer. You hunt for the footnotes. You see history not as a finished story, but as a sprawling mystery. And you're here because you know the most fascinating chapters are the ones that have been left out. This channel is the place where we find those chapters. This is our space. So, make it permanent, hit subscribe, and officially join the think tank. Then, prove your worth. In the comments, I want you to pick one pyramid from this list and make a case for why it's the most significant non-Egyptian pyramid. Is it Cholula's sheer size? The mystery of Teotihuacan? The sheer number at Meroë? Defend your choice. Let's see who builds the most compelling argument. The floor is yours.